maybe that's something like to, before we get onto Sonic, because that's bounce the hardest ecosystem is ripping, but maybe just double clicking on that. Maybe it's if you're listening, it's people's first like major drawdown and the depths and despair of what you kind of go through and how to not continue to do the same actions that have led you to the drawdown. And I don't know if you have a kind of framework for that. I know I cover it an awful lot every week in Discord. It seems to be like a lot of the questions that get asked are around that kind of thing, but I don't think we've ever spoke about it on here, to be honest.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, I've
and
obviously
you've got a strong poker background as well, and there's a lot of similarities, and that's how you always frame it to me. So
yeah, so it's very simple. You know what, Grant? At the end of the day, it comes down to how you're managing your risk. It's all it is. It's probably the most simple yet the most difficult thing to do, because when you're winning, what do you want to naturally do? You want to bet more. Like, that's just the way that it is. You've got to turn that psychology around. You've got to manage your risk. So instead of saying I've got $10 to play with, if you've got $10 and you're sitting on $30 and you bet $5 initially, don't go and put the other $5 in. That's what people do, is that they land up getting too invested in one or two things and they don't actually have capital on the side. If you are deployed at any point in time 100%, I believe personally that isn't entirely the way to play the game. That's not sound risk management unless you are in assets that aren't extremely volatile. But what exactly is not extremely volatile in this space? So it's always about percentages versus your bankroll and how much you are basically in on a certain bet. As soon as you like 20, 30, 40, 50% of your stack in one thing, that's a mistake. You've got to have capital. Whether you've decided it's going to be like 20% cash, 30% cash, or even 40% cash, you've got to make that decision and you've got to suck it up and say, I've got to have, if things go pear, I mustn't be sitting and fucking clicking refresh on my browser every 10 seconds. Because if that's what's happening, you are making mistakes and you will continue to make mistakes. So it doesn't mean you're not going to feel less pain. Doesn't matter that doesn't mean that you're not going to land up being in a situation where you're hating things. But as soon as you are hating things because everything is on the line, you are just a matter of time before you fail. And that's because you're not managing your risk. And more importantly, you're not managing your bankroll correctly. You can be reckless. You can be completely all over the shop. But as long as you've got a bankroll that can facilitate your recklessness on every level, then you're fine. So in poker, just to finish off, the philosophy is that you shouldn't be playing a certain level if you don't have a minimum of 10 buy-ins. So that means if you're playing $2, $4, the buy-in is $400, you should have $4,000 to play that level. I always used to play with 100 buy-ins. I would never move up a level if I didn't have a minimum of 100 buy-ins. But then people used to call me psychotic, but that's why they used to come to me for coaching. Because I never used to sit and worry about, okay, well, I'm going to go in. I'm deep stacked right now. I've got 4 buy-ins, but I want to go all in against this dude because I think I've got an edge. I'm not sitting and worrying about the result. I'm thinking about whether the decision is right or wrong. And that's the difference, is like, how do you position yourself so that you are making the optimal decisions without the emotional attachment? And it doesn't matter how experienced you are. The emotional attachment is always there. It's just how you can minimize it in that journey to managing your risk.
100%. Yeah, so I in a roundabout way do that. And I think I've mentioned to you a few times, if I'm happy with where I'm at, it doesn't matter what stage of the cycle I am. If I feel like stuff's getting a little bit heavy, or I'm kind of getting a little bit saturated with a specific narrative or portfolio, I feel like it's run its course, I'll literally just take 85% off and I'll just go and cash that out, and then I'll just start again. And the way I try and describe it to, I don't know, you were playing fucking Pokemon Yellow, you've got all your Pokemon to fucking level 99. You can't really do much more on that one. You're just kind of like fucking around, just pissing around, then you start a new save. You go and get a new starter Pokemon, and then you do it again. And that's the only way I've managed to stay sane over the past few years. And like previous cycles, giving way too much back, like way too much. the amount I probably gave back was the amount that I took off this time around. So it's just like,
Yep.
that's the way that I compartmentalize it. And I know for a fine fact, I know myself more than anything, that I will continue to click buttons, whatever the weather. So understanding that I will do that, I need to give that aspect of like that part of my personality that wants to continue to do that a much lower bankroll to go and do that and not be guilty about it once you've done it. Because I'm going to do it regardless, but I'd rather do it with 10, 15% as opposed to 100%. Because I'm going to get to the same point regardless. So I recognize your own behavior. You can't really control what happens in the markets. It's just understanding how you're going to react to them. And I know that I just like to click buttons. So that's how I kind of like self-manage it.
Yeah, I mean, what's really interesting about what you said now is that you start from the beginning. I think that's also like a super cool thing to do, is to even if it's something on the side, like it's almost like a psychological game, and the game that you play is like, you know what, let me take whatever that might be, $1,000. Like, you get guys who do this in the trade, in like trading groups and stuff, like obviously legitimate traders who demonstrate how to do this kind of thing. And it's actually like, okay, cool, I'm going to take $1,000 and I'm going to take it to $50,000. And even if it takes me 6 months, a year, it doesn't matter. I'm going to demonstrate what that journey looks like. And that in itself is probably one of the single most awesome things you can do for yourself, is the discipline. And it's not about, and you're not, I think the problem is that people think the bigger your bets are, the cooler you are and the better you are. No, bro. It's about whether you're winning. It's like, whether it's a $50 bet or whether it's a $5 million bet, are you winning? And are you managing your risk and your emotions in that process? If you're ticking those boxes, you'll get to the $5 million bet if that's what you want. But you got to build your bankroll in order to do that, and then start again and do it all over again. Because it's like this is the best computer game I've ever played in my entire life. I've played games my whole life. I was selling virtual commodities long before everybody else was in the late 90s. I've been a gamer my entire life. This is the best game ever. Trading, hands down, the best game. But then there's rules, and you got to play the game. You can't just randomly do shit, because you do randomly do shit, you die. It's really that simple.
And you always hear about the one-hit wonder who took $1,000 to 10 million, and like, you never really hear about how they manage that post that, because that's, again, like the people you hear of winning a lottery ticket and they end up fucking broke at the end of it. It's very few and far between the people who hit that, and it's almost non-existent, the people who hit it and keep it.
Well, I know of at least 4 people quite close to us that did that, and pretty much all of them have given it back. Not all of it, but they've given a lot of it back because they didn't manage this. I mean, this has been the most brutal market that I think crypto has ever seen, without a shadow of a doubt. And now you've got, kind of macro coming back in, and that's very much like dictating everything, tariffs, and who knows what Trump's doing at the moment. And it's kind of like, how do you manage that? Well, you manage that by having cash handy. And just one last thing around this, I don't believe that we're going to have this kind of like V-shaped recovery immediate. I think this is one of those cases where you'll have plenty of time to get in. And people are like almost still PTSD with a combination of FOMO. And my belief system is, well, the way that I'm playing it is, I don't know if it's correct, I could be completely wrong here, but I think we'll have plenty of time to get involved again and to get good positions. I think some people will get better positions than others, but that's the nature of markets. But I don't think it's going to be like bottom's going to hit and then it's going to like go straight back up again and keep grinding up. I just don't see that happening.
So max pain would be, so for the past however long, like roughly speaking, it's been so easy to short the pump, like fade any move up. Max pain is that no longer works anymore because everything slowly grinds up. Because that kills everyone who's trying to short, because they're just getting gently squeezed out, and it also doesn't give any reassurance to anyone who wants to get in, because everyone's like, not trapping me. You're not trapping me. You're not trapping me because
It's
it's
true.
just that slow
Yeah.
grind up. So
Yeah.
that's what I'd expect to happen. I'd like that to happen.
So
to be
how do
honest.
you? I mean, so this is probably the $1 billion question: is how do you then? So how do you then play that? Is it a case of like, well, I'm going to go with what I believe are the fundamentally like really good protocols, and I'm going to place my bet, and I'm not going to look back because I'm going to take a medium to long term view, and I'm just going to like do it, and I'm going to walk away? Or do you wait for like that major correction and then just say, okay, cool, I'm doing it here, and if it goes low, fuck it? I mean, how do you play it?
I think you gotta look at stuff on a relative basis as well. If Bitcoin's been dominant, then you've got to go and see what is looking strong against Bitcoin. So even if you're having some sideways price action, you're not gonna take a beat into the downside. And like if you are looking at major market reversal, then you're gonna kind of looking for the fastest horses out of the gates that have a tangible and explainable story and narrative to tell. So that's where I'd be kind of looking personally. So
Check the BTC dominance chart. It's really interesting because it hits all-time high like in the last 24 hours. Well, not all-time high, but it hits a major high in terms of where we've been. And then it obviously bounced back down. It hit resistance, but
64 to 64.3.
Dude, like that is insane. Like it really is. And it's coming off the back of Bitcoin that's not looking that great either, yet the dominance is still maintained. And it's like it just keeps on being Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin keeps on being the freaking darling. Surely there's like, nah, look, people are looking at Bitcoin saying, you know what? I'm going to look at Bitcoin, I'm going to long this thing, and I'm going to go hard into Bitcoin, and I'm going to just hopefully ride it back up to 120K.
And that's in an environment where we've got stablecoin market cap at all-time highs. So
I rest
super
my
telling,
case, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all there in front of us, and it's kind of like, well, then, like you said, like, okay, so which majors and which fundamentally sound protocols are showing strength against BTC, especially when BTC is kind of like ranging like this, and then making a call and saying, okay, cool, I'll watch those for a period of time, and then I'll make a call as to whether I want to actually commit capital when the market improves and Trump takes a chill pill and things start moving in the right direction.